Good evening, and thank you everyone for joining us for this virtual public information session on the West Hants Active Transportation and Trail Strategy. So just before we begin, I thought that I'd provide a bit of an overview of what we'll be speaking about this evening, while also recognizing that this is meant to be an interactive session. So although I do encourage you to kind of hold questions until the end, if there is something that you really would like to have an answer to while we move through the presentation, raise your hand and I'm happy to answer it. There's nothing worse than, only focusing on that question that you have while you're trying to also listen. So, and then yeah, at the end we'll open up for group discussion, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you this evening. And we also really appreciate you taking the time to attend. Community vision is at the heart of this project, and so it's sessions like these that are really valuable to the overall project. So the introduction, we'll kind of just go through, what is active transportation and why is it important? And then we'll move into a bit of an overview of the project, and then we'll talk about public engagement, so some other opportunities to share your feedback and to perhaps share with other folks. And then we'll move into the Q&A with discussion. And prior to that, I will kind of provide a bit of an overview of some prompting questions, some questions that will be used to guide discussion. But before we jump into those at the end, I'll open up for general questions about the project. So if anyone is looking for clarity on anything, I'd like to answer those first in case anyone does need to hop off, and then we can get into the group discussion. Just a few other, details. This session is being recorded, but no one will actually be part of the recording. So as soon as the Q&A and discussion begins, we will stop the recording. And then any notes that we take this evening will be anonymous, and anything that we do take down during this session and then also any of our other engagement sessions, we will be sharing in a What We Heard report. And that's essentially an opportunity for you to go back and see what you shared represented, and then also to ensure that the final strategy aligns with what we heard from everyone who took the time to participate in this process. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so what is active transportation? It's typically good to start out with this question, and it's a broad term that refers to all modes of human-powered transportation. So anything that you do yourself to move through your community or through a space or place. So it includes walking and rolling. And so in this case, we're referring to the use of assisted devices such as wheelchairs when we say rolling, cycling, rollerblading, and skateboarding, and other forms that are similar to those. Seasonal activities, so it can include, kayaking, and then also cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, and then as well some motorized forms of transportation like e-bikes and electric wheelchairs as well. So active transportation, we typically group it into two types, and that's utilitarian active transportation, referring to, things like commuting to work, walking to school, walking to pick up groceries or to get to run other errands, and then also recreational active transportation. So that would encompass things such as, just going kayaking for fun, not necessarily to get to a destination, or going for a walk to catch up with a friend, but also recognizing that some occur at the same time, and it's important to recognize all of the different, motivations and reasons for participating in active transportation when developing this strategy, and also recognizing that active transportation may be a choice for some people, but it may be the only option for others. And so and with that, active transportation infrastructure will also come up frequently throughout this presentation and the project. So it's important to define that as well. And it refers to physical elements So things like sidewalks, bike lanes, that sort of thing, and environments that are designed to support various modes of active transportation. And effective infrastructure forms a well-connected network that enables users to navigate their communities safely, seamlessly, and also enjoyably. So we want to make sure that it is the desirable option and not just something um, that you're able to do, but you look forward to doing. So why active transportation? There's a number of benefits. This is just a short list of them, and you could go into detail under each of these bullet points. But some of the main benefits that we'd like to highlight are that it improves mental, physical, and social health, by increasing movement throughout the day and also social connection. When you're out participating in active transportation, you're much more likely to run into other people and to, bond with other members of your community. And then it also, increases likelihood of being able to access other community spaces and social opportunities. It attracts visitors and boosts local businesses through increased foot traffic. So folks who are, walking down the street or rolling down the street are more likely to, stop into a store that they weren't intending to go to than those who are driving specifically to a parking spot. And then it's also, cycling tourism is a huge draw in itself, and as well as other active transportation-based tourism. It lowers carbon emissions and environmental impact, and then it also increases a connection to nature by, encouraging folks to be outside more and participating in AT or active transportation. It promotes equity by improving travel options and access to public spaces. So it can increase, the ability to, move through a community more than someone may have prior to, especially those who, don't have access to a vehicle or other means of transportation. And then finally, it builds safer, connected, and vibrant communities where everyone can thrive. So about the project, this project is building off of, or I guess it's actually revisiting the 2015 Active Transportation Plan to develop a new active transportation trail strategy. So basically, there are a lot of goals within this project, but one of the main things that this initiative seeks is to improve how residents and visitors move throughout the municipality, creating a more sustainable community where active transportation is not only safe, as mentioned before, and easy, but also enjoyable. So by improving connectivity, the project will strengthen community cohesion and improve connections among communities. So we're looking, at the entire municipality and not just, how do folks, move within their neighborhoods, but across the municipality, connecting neighborhoods and key destinations. And yeah, creating vibrant, well-connected network for residents and visitors. So considering, those who live in West Hants full-time or part-time, but also those who are coming to visit, coming to attend events or programs, and then also, just for quick visits as well for tourism. And of course, all ages and abilities. So that's a big one. So it's, looking at every type of user, every user across the lifespan. We want to ensure this plan includes everyone. And finally, this project will also assess whether the existing trail network in West Hants meets the diverse needs of its users and identifying gaps in specific trail types across the municipality. And this plan also seeks to center community vision in the planning process through inclusive and meaningful engagement, and to also share knowledge about active transportation benefits, principles, challenges, and opportunities. And it also seeks to collaborate with community organizations. So beyond the public engagement, we're also going to be engaging with various community organizations and as well as municipal committees such as the Active Transportation Accessibility and Equity and Inclusion Committees. We will be identifying specific areas requiring upgrades to facilitate increased active transportation. And we will explore new opportunities for developing active transportation infrastructure and programming. So, the final plan, it will also include things like recommendations for different programs. So that could be cycling programs or walking programs, and as well as different amenities such as, water refill stations or bike repair stations. The strategy will also establish connections with the provincial Blue Route Cycling Initiative and other regional plans, and expand active transportation options around schools, community spaces, and business hubs. Address physical improvements to existing trails and identify and improve connections between those local trail networks, and develop an implementation strategy that prioritizes actions, incorporates behavioral change, best practices, and guides decision making. So if you look at the project timeline here, we're right now kind of here. So the project has launched in October and we've done a background review. We're now in the public engagement phase, while continuing to do some background work. And public engagement will wrap up mid-December. And then from there, we'll begin drafting the documents. And then that will set us up to have the final plan completed by the end of February. So for public engagement, there are a variety of opportunities. As we mentioned before, this is a really key part of this project. So this is just a brief overview, but we do have a public survey, an online social map, public information sessions, contacting the project team directly, and then just, staying up to date on the project website. So to break it down a bit, here's a glimpse of the public survey. You can access it online, but you can also access printed copies as well upon request. And we've also had public or printed versions available at our public information sessions. The online social map. So here you will see that we have lots of feedback already, which is amazing. And so basically you can go on the website, speakupland.ca/WHAT, and you can actually drop location specific feedback onto the map. And you can also see what other folks have said, and you can, respond or like or dislike those comments. And again, for those who don't have access to the online map, we have been bringing the laptop to public info sessions in case folks want to participate that way. And also we've provided opportunities for people to just provide basic feedback on locations by phone or email or at those info sessions just by hand. So speaking of the public information sessions, we have had two already, one in Ellershouse and one in Hantsport. And we're heading to the Brooklyn Civic Center tomorrow evening from 6 to 8 p.m. And then we'll be at the West Hants Sports Complex on Saturday, December 7th from 10 to noon. And we invite people to, drop in when they'd like. It's not a formal meeting. So we have, panels and engagement activities set up, and then just members of the project team there to have conversations. So you can drop in for 5 minutes or for an hour, or 2 hours if you really want to, at your own convenience. And we look forward to seeing those who can make it out to the next sessions. You can also just contact the project team directly. So the consultation@uplandstudio.ca email is the best one to use. Or you can call my office number there to connect. We recognize that sometimes phoning is easier and more convenient, and sometimes the best option for folks. So, and then as well on the project website, you can sign up for project updates and to be included on a mailing list. And then there's just a bit of a glimpse of the project website. So basically, as I mentioned before, I'll go through some of these discussion questions, but then I'll just open it up for general questions and feedback, and then we can head into these and we'll stop the recording before this. But also it would be good to just, show these questions to those who may be tuning in after the fact to watch the recording. So the first question, and of course, we can have a conversation about many more questions. And if anyone else has questions that they want to prompt conversation with, please go ahead. But these are just to kind of get the wheels turning a bit. But the first is, what are the barriers that currently prevent you from using active transportation more often in West Hants? So that could be anything from, traffic concerns to, not having access to equipment, to weather conditions or safety concerns, such as, maybe that's poor lighting, and that's also an accessibility concern as well. Limited resting spots. And so that could be benches or, general areas to, have lunch. Absence of sidewalks or bike lanes, and the list goes on. So those are just some examples. Another question we have is, what trails or routes would you like to be able to access more easily and more enjoyably using active transportation? So if you're able to identify the route or trail, and then we can talk about, some specific barriers or improvements needed. So that could include things like missing sidewalks or inadequate sidewalks or crosswalks on a street, to, really specific trail conditions that you'd like to provide feedback on. And then finally, the third question that we have is just if there's any forms of active transportation that you do not currently participate in, but you'd like to try. So, recognizing that active transportation does extend beyond just the walking, wheeling, and cycling. Could be things, like snowshoeing or kick sledding or kayaking or paddle boarding, and the list goes on. So we'd love to hear, what are some of those that aren't, the typical ones that you think of that you would love to try, but maybe you haven't because you want to be able to do it with someone else and participate in a group program, or maybe you want access to the gear before, commit to this new endeavor. And so we'd love to hear that from you. So I'll wrap it up there for right now, and open up the floor for just general questions about the project, or anything that I've just spoken about. And then we will kind of circle back to those discussion questions. I do have my email address up on the screen, as well as the project website, and that QR code should also take you directly to the project website as well. Thank you so much for listening. Again, this is your project, and we are so excited to hear from you, and we really appreciate you taking the time. Life can be really busy, and so anything that you're able to provide, any feedback is, it's so appreciated, and it's very valued. And we appreciate you being interested in this project. And I will stop recording now, and then we can circle back to those discussion questions. Thank you.